Welcome to the Delaware County Commissioners Monday, June 1st meeting. And we will stand for the pledge. And Reverend, is it Reverend Hank?
Yeah.
Hanson, thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Hanson,
Yes.
we'd like for you to come to the microphone and tell us a little bit about your history of being a veteran.
I'm a 23-year Navy veteran, combat veteran of Vietnam. While I did 23 years, and completed my Bachelor of Theology and Master of Ministry and Pastoral Counseling while on active duty. I presently serve on the Delaware County Honor Guard. I'm the chaplain and sometimes play the bugle. This week we will be up to 100 funerals for this year already. We're not even halfway through the year. So we get close to 200 funerals a year. So it keeps us quite active. We got 2 today.
And I understand you like to have some recruits join you because
Right.
you're getting thin and you
Yeah.
guys put in a lot of miles.
Yeah, well, the Saturday before, we had 5 funerals in one day, and sometimes we have to split up, and it makes it a little hard if we don't have enough. Presently, we got about 12 active members.
And just any veteran,
Any veteran,
man, woman, you've had some women
It does-
before.
we've had women before, we'd like to have women on board. We do everything, of course, I'm the chaplain, so if I have to do the service, I do the service.
And if a person was working, would it take about an hour out of their day to meet you, or about 2 hours?
Well, it depends. You get some funerals,
Especially if they're out of town.
well, we got one today, the funeral starts at 11, but then they're gonna go to lunch, and then they're gonna go to the cemetery, so that could take,
Kind of split your shift or something, maybe.
and we got a split, one team's gotta go to Newcastle, and we go here, we go all the way to Marion.
So we could get about 20, 30.
Yes, it would be wonderful to
We
have,
sure do appreciate it because it is a very nice ceremony that you provide. We thank you for your service.
well, we feel that we have served, and we're gonna continue to serve our veterans and the family. I'm a veteran service officer at the Marion VA, so I help veterans file claims and help widows with claims also.
Could you give your telephone number so we could get it in the record and Roger would have it on TV?
I'll give it, my cell phone is area code 765-749-1560.
765-749-1560.
Right.
Give Reverend Henson a call. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, well, everybody else, left the chair. Well, now we'll do the roll call. Oh, we have Mr. Richmond here today.
Got the B team. Mr. Henry? Here. Mr. King? Here. Ms. Reagan?
Present. Thank you. Okay, we're down to some table business. And Mrs. Moyer has HWC Engineering
Yes,
memorandum.
this contract is for general services, and it has been revised based on your request to change the expiration date to December 31st, 2015.
Okay, thank you very much. So we didn't vote on that last time, so
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
roll call.
Mr. King? Yes. Mr. Henry?
Yes.
Ms. Reagan?
Yes. Thank you very much, Andrea.
Thank you.
And then we also have it tabled bringing off. Do we need to make a motion, Mr. Murphy, to remove these special or anything?
No, you can just proceed, it's on the agenda.
Okay. The agreement for economic development services for Brad Bookout.
Good morning, President Regan, County Commissioners. Brad Bookout with Augusta Consulting. This is an extension of agreement that was tabled at the meeting 2 weeks ago, and I have spoken with each of you regarding this. Also, I've shared with you a internal budget to accompany the document. What the agreement is for, Augusta Consulting will provide administrative knowledge, leadership, and support for Delaware County relating to economic development projects. Augusta will represent the county as the county's local economic development official. Augusta will market county properties and buildings for economic development and capital investment projects. Augusta will serve as the county's business retention specialist, calling on and meeting with existing businesses to discuss expansion and hiring plans. Augusta will work to contact and attract new businesses and industry to the county. Augusta will assemble all economic development incentive packages for the county economic development projects. Augusta will identify and work with third-party consulting firms to assist with new business attraction. Augusta will provide inter-county administrative support for economic development projects, working collaboratively with both Muncie and the surrounding towns. Augusta will work with the Economic Development Corporation from the state of Indiana on projects and incentives. Provided with this contract will be 4 staff, an experienced local economic development official, an experienced business retention and expansion official, a project manager, and an administrative assistant. Will be available to travel as needed. All expenses would be approved by the county prior to expenditure. And the total services, the contract would essentially be for 19 months. It would expire December 31st, 2016, with monthly payments of $12,500 beginning June 1st today. The agreement can be modified by the mutual terms of either parties and can be terminated with 90 days written notice. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I know you've had an opportunity to take a look at this. My role has increasingly become economic development in nature. I know I'm in touch with each of you nearly daily through text message, email, phone call, updating you on projects. So I appreciate your support today.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract.
I'll second it.
Yeah, any questions?
Is the discussion allowed?
Sure.
I just wanted to comment. I think we already have
Your name?
David Taylor, 211 Marywood Lane, Muncie, Indiana. I'd like to know who drew up the contract. Who drew up this contract? Did you, Mr. Murphy?
It was a contract that I had input in. It was presented by Mr. Bookout, but I had input in it, made some changes.
Was this negotiated contract negotiated with any of the commissioners?
We all did see it before.
Was it negotiated with any of the commissioners? It wasn't. Was it negotiated with any of the commissioners?
What are you asking, sir?
I'm asking if you knew about the contract before it was drawn up.
Yes.
You did know about it?
No.
You didn't? Mr. King?
I've seen through the email, yes.
Okay. And who actually wrote the contract?
I did.
Okay. I want to say this. We have an economic development arm of the Chamber of Commerce. Terry Murphy, who I worked with when I was on the city council, who I thought did a wonderful job. And I hate to see duplication of effort. I think it's a waste of taxpayers' money. It's political in nature, and I think you ought to table it or vote no on it. That's my suggestion.
Thank you.
I want to add one thing. We have a gentleman from our office here that would love to have a job like that. It wasn't even advertised. Was it advertised?
No.
No.
It wasn't even advertised. So it's just a political job. Create a job.
No.
I don't know, sir. It's not a political job. We've been working with Mr. Bookout. I have been personally for the last
since after the first of the year, Mr. Bookout is the one that it works with us. We correspond on a daily basis, just like he said. I don't see any correspondence with Mr. Murphy or anyone from that side as much as Mr. Bookout.
Have you tried with Mr. Murphy?
I'm sorry?
I always felt, when I was on the city council, I felt Mr. Murphy worked very well with the city.
And maybe he does work very well with the city, but I don't hear a lot from him.
Have you contacted him?
No.
Okay, have you?
I've actually been on economic trips with Brad and Terry that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Brad does very well when we go on these trips. I just see a bright future with Brad than what you're stating. And actually right now too, we've had to work with Brad to take care of some of like Bravini, to get our money back from them where they were brought in. We're also, some of the other companies that was brought in that's not fulfilling their contracts. Brad's the one that we're actually been working on, and the one that's been going out to try to help us to recoup money that, like what you're talking about, because I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. I want you to understand that. That's just not me. But I've actually seen the man work, and I've been with him and Terry both. And actually, I've got faith in Brad to do the job, to bring decent companies in here, you know, and not bring us fly-by-night companies, a lot of startup companies, because that's not what we need around here. You know, and plus what we need around here is somebody that wants to go out and work with the companies that we already have here on expansion to find out what we need. It's like Jarden Corporation.
Well, that's
No,
his job.
hold on. Hold
65,000.
on. You know, they left and nobody really knew anything until they were leaving. The same kind of building that they needed was just a few feet away in Delaware from where their main office was. Nobody offered them that building. Nobody talked to them about that building, and they end up and they went to, I believe, Fisher's. You know, I want somebody that I know that's going to go out to these companies that we've already got here and say, what can we do to keep you here? What can we do to help you expand? I haven't seen this in my 2.5 years as a commissioner. You know, I've seen different companies that's been brought here, and I'll be honest, Danner Corporation, I see that they're doing something with the city right now. You know, I would like to work with them and have them pay back the county's $150,000 that we gave to them out at Tucson Tool. You know, and I'm working with Brad to try to recoup that. You know, I haven't really seen anything in my last 2.5 years as a commissioner. I haven't seen very many companies come in. You know, I haven't really seen anything. And, you know, I'll just put it to you like this, Mr. Taylor. When I come in as a commissioner, I'm a law enforcement officer, work with a lot of gun manufacturers and everything else. When I came in as a commissioner, I knew several companies, and you can get on the internet, you can check this, I knew several companies that was looking for a place to go. I went and I told these people at the chamber that you're talking about, you need to check into these companies. You need to look at these companies. To me, I was ignored. They didn't look at the companies. Back, I believe in February, finally somebody listened to me, and we went to the NRA to discuss a lot of these issues with the companies, tell them about our buildings that we have here. And Brad can tell you, and you could probably also talk to Terry also, that a lot of these corporations said, boy, we wish you would have come to us about 2 years ago, because we're building buildings in Texas. We're building buildings in Wyoming. We just moved to Alabama. Boy, we wish we would have known about this, but nobody contacted them, and I gave them the information 2 years ago. You know, that's what I'm looking at. And some of these companies, what I like is American companies that we could have brought here. They're not German, they're not China, they're not Japan, they're none of those. They're American companies. And one of the companies was a very huge company that would have brought in probably around 2,400 jobs to our community. But nobody looked at these. And I went, like I said, when I first became a commissioner, said, you gotta look at these places. They're moving out of the East Coast because they're not gun-friendly states. Everybody here knows Indiana's a gun-friendly state. You know, this is what I'm talking about. I want somebody that's going to go after these companies.
I think you're in the wrong position. You ought to have that position. Brad's sign.
Yeah, really.
I mean, if you're making the contacts and everything like that,
Right. But the thing is who listened to me 2 years ago?
I'd like to defend Mr. Murphy because I believe the big company that wanted to come here, we couldn't afford them. We put a bid in, and you've been to about 2 or 3 national conventions, courtesy, and there's other shops besides guns, but I mean, that's part of his job is to redevelop. We're paying him $65,000 to do the Bervinis, to do the Danner building.
Yeah,
And he's putting in 50 hours a week right now. So how can he do more? Go ahead.
President Reagan, thank you. And Mr. Taylor, I appreciate your comments and your concern with what is being presented today. Just to let the commissioners know and those in the audience know, I've been employed, or Augusta Consulting has had a contract with the county. First started in 2009. Duties were largely directed towards being the director of the Delaware County Redevelopment Commission, working cooperatively with the county on projects, acting as a liaison. As time went by, my role increasingly became economic development. I increasingly became the point person for many of those projects, working with both parties. I've worked as well with Republican administrations as I have with Democrat administrations. It has been a bipartisan effort. I've worked recently on the Jardin project. I'm still working on that now.
Brett, could I interrupt you on that?
Sure.
I don't believe you even knew about that. They found a building down at Fisher that they bought for like, what, $2 a square? I mean, it was a phenomenal building, and we can't blame them for finding. So we didn't know about that till they came to us.
That is correct.
And they knew that building's down the road from them. So
Well,
let's set the record straight on that, okay?
I
Thank you.
understand. They owe the county back $100,000
And they're gonna pay
at
that.
this time for the Daleville TIF district.
Correct.
So I'm negotiating with them
And we
right now.
appreciate that.
I'm meeting with them this coming Wednesday. The Bervini project, they owed the county back $375,000. I negotiated directly
And
with
we thank you
Bervini
for that.
The Bell feed mill, the feed mill did not go forth. I'm currently working now to undo the bond for the road to Bell Aquaculture. So I'm addressing that.
I appreciate that.
I'm working on that. We've had some good successes
Yes, you have.
with DSE Trucking in Daleville. Has been an excellent success. The Mersix project, I was communicating with Todd Murray over the weekend on a project that he's working on now as well. Kermit is currently in the former Tucson Tool building. They are 90 days late on their payments, so you are essentially paying me to evict them from that space
Yes,
at this
that's
time.
sad, but thank
So
you.
I'm doing that. So I'm working cooperatively with Danner, trying to assist the Danner project the best I can. I emailed you over the weekend that there are meetings. I'm trying to set up meetings so everybody can view the mobile power station for the first time. So that's exciting stuff. I'm also working on the Daleville bond. We're doing a $4 million new park in the downtown, which is an amenity building project. I've also worked with the Redevelopment Commission to acquire properties in the downtown.
And you're saving the big hotel, which makes
The
Commissioner
furniture
Reagan
store,
very happy.
yeah, we just closed on, everyone will be happy to know, we just closed on the Daleville Furniture Store in downtown Daleville. The Redevelopment Commission now has possession of that property. We closed last Thursday on that property, so that's exciting. We are showing that property to senior housing developers at this time. Also, the Morrison Road bond, I'm currently working on a large sidewalk project with Angie Moyer. It's an exciting project, nearly $6 million in new improvements in that area. It's an amenity building project, so people want to be here, want to stay here. I'm also working on the Industrial Center Road project. That's a project last week we approved with the county council, a bond to redo Mount Pleasant Boulevard, Delaware Drive, and I forget the Hamilton Drive as well. So there's a lot of projects that I'm working on. There's a lot of things that I'm doing. This contract is not a job for me. This is a contract with Augusta Consulting, and there will be people hired, as I mentioned when I was at the podium. Those people have
So you'll
been.
continue.
That is correct. So we're working diligently every day. Expansion and retention of existing businesses is increasingly a big deal in Delaware County. There are a lot of businesses who feel neglected or feel like they haven't had good contact with economic development folks, either to do expansions
And so that's
with.
number 12 on your contract now.
That's
And
correct.
that is provide support and assistance for business retention and expansion projects. So that's your job, not the
That's
chamber.
correct.
Thank
That's
you.
correct. But we are every day having to do more and more of that and to
True.
reach out, so.
And there are
So
more businesses out there that do
Yeah,
need help.
this will provide us staff to do all that and do it countywide, so.
And see, Mr. Brookout, it's nothing against you personally because you are a fine young man and do present yourself well. Many of us are not as fluent in the English language as you. You are blessed. The problem I have is that you're just one person starting this company wanting to take, and the chamber has a staff with so much history behind it. That's the problem I
Yeah,
have.
and I
Around
have-
here, we would call that politics, and we don't like that.
Well, I went to the Chamber of Commerce before your meeting 2 weeks ago. And I did share this with the Delaware County Chamber of Commerce. And they, specifically the president of the chamber, and he is committed to working cooperatively with us on however they need to work.
Well, I imagine he
forward.
would,
So,
yes.
Yeah, so that has been shared.
Yes, sir?
Monty Brown, 12201 West Native Trail, Yorktown, Indiana. I guess I've got two questions. One, is the chamber going to lose any funding from the county as a result of this?
Yes, they're taking a pledge that the former commissioners pledged for some 20 years. Every 4 years they do a plan, and I believe it's called Vision 2016, and they would be losing $150,000 next year.
Okay. And I do know Brad. I like Brad. We've worked together on projects, so this isn't about Brad. It's just we do have a good chamber here in town. Secondly, a number of years ago, I worked with John Fisher when he owned the Fisher Building downtown, and Jardin relocated to Daleville at that time. As part of those negotiations, Jardin told us up front that their company vision was to be in Indianapolis within 10 years. So this move that they made recently should not have been a surprise to anybody, because they did tell us that
They might
a
not
number of
share
years
that
ago.
with-
I'm going to say they never shared.
Yeah, well, they did with us, and that's, I mean, they tried to negotiate out of the lease that they had in Daleville some time ago,
And
so.
that would have been nice for us to know. But
Yeah.
Well, it could have been something in confidence.
Well, they had decided, back then that they were going to be moving to Indianapolis, and nothing was going to stop them, because they were made a very good deal at the Fisher Building and elected not to take it. So,
Well, thank you for your
thank you.
comments.
Well,
Okay. Roll call.
Mr. Henry?
Yes.
Mr. King?
yes,
Ms. Riggin?
Nothing personal, but no. Motion carried. Thank you.
thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, now we move down to approval. And Denise, we thank her. She had an extra day that she wasn't here. And she got these ready for us.
Motion to approve. The minute.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mr. King? I'm going to abstain since I wasn't here at the last meeting. Mr. Henry?
Yes.
Ms. Riggin?
Yes. Thank you, Denise. Okay, now we would move down to the contracts. And Mrs. Moyer's on the agenda again with the HWC consulting contract.
This supplemental is for engineering services for Bridge 516 located on Tillotson Avenue over White River. This is for an increase of $32,760. The additional services are necessary due to the change of scope and
You have
work.
to speak up a little bit.
I'm sorry. The change in scope of work to move forward with a full bridge replacement. And so we need to do some geotech, additional survey work. Those are what those fees
So we have to do the fees, and then,
and hydraulics.
what do you think this, from rehab to, is gonna cost us for the project?
Well, as part of the NDOT federal process, we do an on-site visit, we do an additional bridge inspection report, and they have to prepare a cost analysis, rehab versus replacement. And there was only a little over $300,000 difference between a rehab bridge and a brand-new bridge. So it was a no-brainer.
Well, yeah,
So, and MARTA's able to program the additional federal
Okay.
funding. Currently, what I have programmed in the bridge account, your edit funds, I will have to request an additional appropriation, but it's pretty minor to get a brand-new bridge. This
And-
is such an important road, major
Right.
thoroughfare.
and it's nice to read in here that they are gonna keep it open.
Yes, there'll always be 2 lanes
Yeah.
open. So they will tear down half of the bridge and start building the new one next to it, and they'll be able to keep traffic moving.
Yeah.
And we'll be on the same letting schedule, and it might add an additional month to the construction time.
Okay, very good,
Motion to approve.
Second.
yeah. Roll call.
Mr. Henry?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Ms. Reagan?
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you, Andrew.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now we have an agreement for Visions Inmate Health Services. Jeannie Justice here.
Nothing from the Sheriff's Department.
Anybody from the Sheriff's Department? I thought she'd be here, but, and this is a new contract, I believe. The company's been here before, I believe. Isn't that right?
Same company they had before.
It's not the one that's left. I mean, it's
That's what I'm
They
saying,
went
it's the
back.
same company that they've had before.
before the last one,
Yeah, before the last one.
yeah.
And it's like, yeah.
And,
At least been nice to have somebody from the
Yeah.
Sheriff's
yeah,
Department here.
she's probably wanting to get it done. Could someone put a call into her?
That's
maybe?
what
Okay,
we're-
thank you. We'll move that back down then. Okay, then we have Mrs. Moyer again on the general services agreement for the Triad Associate.
This is my last one for the day.
Yes.
This is a general services agreement that we discussed at the last meeting, and the only revision was to change the expiration date to December 31st, 2015. This contract is for not to exceed $7,500.
Thank you for that.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Henry?
Yes.
Ms. Reagan?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Okay, now we have a first reading ordinance, 2015-011. Is Jamie here, please?
Hello, Commissioners, Jamie Bain, Administrator of the Health Department. You should have received a ordinance for ISDH Ebola funds that we'll be receiving at the Health Department. It's approximately $28,000. It's being sent down from the federal to the state and then to us. It's basically to supplement locals' planning and preparation for something along the lines of the Ebola outbreak here in the United States.
Something we hope we never have to use,
Exactly.
but we're gonna be ready. And then other training, I mean, for other diseases also, maybe.
Yeah, it's basically for any of these contagious diseases. I think it's a poor title, but
Yeah,
Ebola Fund is what.
that gets your attention.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thank you, thank you.
I'll make a motion to introduce ordinance 2015-011.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Henry?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Ms. Reagan?
Yes. Thank you, Jamie.
When's this fund need set up by? I mean, can we wait till next meeting?
Next meeting's in 2 weeks, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, that should work just fine.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, have the resolutions for approval, 2015-019. Statement of benefits, I believe Brad's going to fill us in on that, thank you.
Commissioners, in my newly expanded role as with Economic Development, I bring you a Midwest metal tax abatement. So I appreciate your consideration of this today. This has already been approved by the Delaware County Council. This has been a cooperative project, working cooperatively with the Delaware County Chamber of Commerce on the project. The project is for the new addition of a 60,000 square foot building at the corner of 26th Streets and Cowan Road, just adjacent to and to the existing Midwest metal structure. Proposed value of the project, or estimated value of the proposed project, is $2,168,540. Midwest Metal has requested a 3-year tax abatement. During this time, taxes will be abated in the amount of $64,950. Net new property taxes to the county during that same 3-year period would be $112,185. So this is a net gain to the county despite the tax abatement. Also included with the statement of benefits, this is actually the document that you now by IC code are required to approve in addition to the county council. They have currently 45 employees with salaries of $1,282,320. This job will retain those 45 employees. In addition, we'll add 3 new employees with total combined annual salaries of $85,488. Mr. Steve Smith is here today to give a summary of the project and to answer any questions you may have.
Hello, Steve Smith, CEO of Midwest Metal Products. Right now we have 155,000 square feet. We're going to increase the building by 40,600 and some feet. The 2 reasons for this. One, now we're in plastic carriers. This is mostly a pet distribution warehouse, and we got 3 different series or 3 different lines that came in from Italy. So we needed more space for those. And then plus the second reason, probably the biggest reason, is we've e-commerce has taken off. We got 2 customers. We got more than 2. We got 5 or 6. But we got 2 that are real big. And what they do is on their websites, they take orders in during the day, and at some magic hour during the night, electronically they come to us, and the next day we ship them out with their labels on it. So most people think they're getting them from Amazon.com, Chewy.com.
I wondered how they did that.
PetSmart.com, whoever it might be, but they're
Thanks for
coming from us. So now in East Central Indiana, in our category, I don't know what our category is, but we're the largest UPS shipper in East Central Indiana.
So they probably had to hire some new people too.
Yeah.
Very good.
So the 3 new people that we're looking at, we just hired the 3rd. So the building won't be done until March. We were hoping a lot sooner, but it's a precast, tilled up building, concrete building, but they're backed up, so we can't get those walls in until November. So by the target date's March 15th. But
We found that when we were building the shell building that we had a deadline because everything was just booming at the time. Well, that's very good news, and we appreciate you being here today and explaining it.
Midwest Metal's been a good community local
Yes.
partner. They've performed on all the previous tax abatements, exceeded expectations, so it's a good project.
Yes.
Motion to approve. Second.
Roll call.
Mr. King? Yes. Mr. Henry?
Yes.
Ms. Reagan?
Yes. Thanks, Steve, for
Thank you.
attending. Okay, then, on our schedule, a resolution 2015-020, the Mounds Lakes. So, I'm glad we're going to put this to rest.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Mr. Murphy, would you read this, please?
I will. Whereas the Commissioners have considered the proposed ordinance creating a multiple county infrastructure authority, and whereas the Commissioners have considered the proposed construction of the Mounds Lake Reservoir as it affects the residents and landowners of Delaware County, whereas the Commissioners have received and have considered input from their constituents, including issues raised concerning drainage by Delaware County residents and farmers, and whereas the Delaware County Council, the fiscal body of Delaware County, has stated its opposition to the creation of a multiple county infrastructure authority and to the proposed construction of the Mounds Lake Reservoir, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of Delaware County that the Commissioners do not support the creation of the proposed multiple county infrastructure authority. 2, the Commissioners do not support the proposed construction of the Mounds Lake Reservoir.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Discussion.
Discussion, yeah.
I'm Barry Banks. I reside at 959 West County Road, 500 South. I want to point out here, and Steve and I worked together for years with my company, the Red Tail Land Conservancy. I want to point out that the resolution, or not the resolution, but whatever ordinance that they're using to form this commission has at first included 6 members, the 4 cities, Delaware County, Madison County. Yeah. And then randomly, or just, I don't know how they stopped, they changed that to not include Delaware County and Madison County, so just including, and sure you probably know this, but I just want to make it for the record stated that I understand a little bit about the law, and in these matters you either have standing or you don't have standing. And that can be debated and discussed and argued legally. But for a drafter of this ordinance to form the commission to just at their own will remove Delaware County from having standard, and Madison County as well. I think that's something that we need to look at very closely, and in the sense that standing, and you know, as a layperson, standing seems to be established because what they're proposing is going to affect land in Delaware County, not in Yorktown, not in Daleville, not in Muncie, which is up, but it's going to affect land in our county. And so I think I just want to make that note that what I see as one of many unfortunate attributes to this project is standing in Delaware County. I urge you to make sure that we're at the table.
So, Stephen, in layman's terms, is he trying to say, you know, to tweak this a little bit?
Well, I don't think we need to tweak this. I think all the commissioners can do at this point in time is state our opposition to both the proposed ordinance and to the creation of the Mounds Lake itself. That's all we can do at this point in time. I think what Barry is saying is Delaware County seems to have been disinvited to the party, and we don't know why, but maybe because they read the tea leaves. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Barry, for your input.
Hi,
Mr. Jones.
Mike Jones, I reside at 1205 North County Road 650 East in Selma, Indiana. Commissioners, this is probably the biggest, most substantial issue that I know has faced myself as a council member, and I'm sure you as a commissioner. It's highly emotional. It affects a lot of people through a couple of counties. In that the ordinance written by the Anderson CED, as Mr. Banks stated, excludes now Delaware County and Madison counties. Even though the Delaware County Council has stated their position, and hopefully the commissioners will state their position soon, I'm sure in Mr. Sparks' opinion that is irrelevant at this point, because in my opinion they will still go forward with their ordinance as they have been. And I know Anderson City recently took their vote. It was a emotionally packed meeting for sure, a lot of input, and I'm sure the Daleville and Yorktown meetings will as well. So although what we do at this point as a county commissioner or council, even though we take a position, and I think it's a good position, I think you're doing well by the residents of Delaware County. I think it sends a pretty clear message to the Yorktown, Daleville Town Councils, the way the county leadership feels about the project. So I appreciate your efforts, and I appreciate your studying, and I appreciate you representing the citizens of Delaware County.
Mike, before you sit down, I'd like to thank you for taking the lead on this. You were one of the first elected officials that did have the courage to stand up when it wasn't real popular, it wasn't, you know, and I
Well-
think you were the engineer on this.
President Reagan, I appreciate the comment, but it wasn't me. There was so many people involved, so many organizations opposed, that they were, I mean, a lot of them were communicating with me and giving me information. Keep in mind, I was for this project.
Well, I was too.
And I supported it. As I studied more and went to more meetings and listened to a lot of expert opinions, then I certainly began to change my mind. And I think there are other alternatives to economic
I
development
do too.
and less costly as well. So,
Well, thank you.
yeah, sure.
Appreciate it.
President Reagan, Commissioners B. Souza, 1809 Duane Road, Muncie, spokesperson for the League of Women Voters of Muncie, Delaware County. I will be brief because the League of Women Voters has testified before you several times. We explained all the reasons why we oppose this project and the forming of a commission that will take on a life of its own. And we respectfully ask, and we're pleased to see it on the agenda today, that this body concur unanimously with the council's resolution from last week as soon as possible, as you do represent all of Delaware County. This would be a bold and courageous move if 10 out of 10 Delaware County officials oppose both the ordinance and the building of the dam. It would send a very strong message to the 4 municipalities that are still on the proposed agreement. And we have discovered, as Councilman Jones has just said, that as more is learned about the project, the more the opposition to it grows. So thank you again for your time and your attention. And your
Thank you
service.
for all the information.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Ready for roll call? Roll call.
Mr. Henry,
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Ms. Reagan,
Yes. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Okay, then, we have a weekly report from the Ways and Measure, and we appreciate all of his work. And then,
You speak up a little.
okay,
Yeah.
we appreciate Mr. Brandon's work out there. And payments of claims, $1,351,829.62.
Make a motion for payment of claims.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Henry,
Yes.
Ms. Reagan.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, department heads. And, oh, I just get them, gosh, we need to space that a little bit. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Are there any department heads that would like to tell us some good news or something? If not, we'll move down to the, some comments. I believe someone was going to come today to pass out the regional summit. Did some of you get some of these? I do have some extra. This is a East Central Indiana regional summit that's going to be held June the 9th, Tuesday at 6 p.m. at the Horizon Convention Center downtown Muncie. And it's the following counties joining us here to talk about the future of East Central Indiana: Blackford, Henry County, Jay, Madison, and Randolph. And we really would like for you to mark the date. We need everybody at the table. It's kind of like when we started the Muncie Action Plan. How many attended some of those? And where we sit around the table and you get your idea. And this is going to be a fast track because we do have a deadline. But we'll still be talking, and we just need as many people there that have some ideas or want to make suggestions. So please mark that down. Okay, anything else?
We still have the agreement for Delaware County inmate health services.
Did she arrive?
No, Patty's checking with Jenny to
Okay,
see if she
thank you.
reached anyone.
Go ahead, sir.
Hi, good morning. Just a very quick comment.
I need you to state your name, please.
Sure. My name is Josh Groover. I reside at 1020 West Warwick Road, Muncie, Indiana. I'm a faculty member at Ball State in the Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Management. I'm also on the Board of Supervisors for the Delaware County Soil and Water Conservation District. And I think we had a formal presentation to you at the last meeting 2 weeks ago. And I just wanted to follow up with a quick comment and a little more background and context about what we do at the Delaware County Soil and Water Conservation District, and hopefully fill in some context for you as to why we're asking for support. So just a few minutes of your time. So a little bit about Delaware County Soil and Water Conservation District. We were established in 1956 as a county department. It was voted to be formed by landowners in the county to address erosion and land management issues. 5 supervisors were then elected to direct operations. Soil and water conservation districts were formed as subdivisions of state government, funded at the local level. So from 1957 to 2011, staffing and operational expenses came from the county's general fund. From 2011 to 2014, the Delaware County Soil and Water Conservation District has not received any funding from the county. We did receive some $5,000 or so from your edit fund, which we were very thankful for. It was very useful. So we really appreciate that. And I guess, I'm a new supervisor. Commissioner Reagan, you performed the swearing in ceremony at our last annual meeting. Thank you for that. So I'm learning things as I go through this process. And one of the things I did as I first started was to attend one of the state meetings for soil and water conservation districts down in Indianapolis with our chairman, Ron Orbaugh. And it really struck me being there at this meeting. I kind of felt famous, and I didn't know why, because I was walking around and other soil and water conservation district members who were there were kind of looking at me like, and us, Ron as well, as kind of like, oh, there's Delaware County. And what I learned from that experience and through that day was that other county soil and water districts actually look to us for leadership, for ideas about searching for external funding, which many of the counties do. And I learned that Delaware County is actually one of the most successful districts in terms of bringing in external funds. And we use those external funds to do a lot of things for the county, for landowners that live within the county and other folks. Some of the things we do really quickly, we maintain an active schedule of soil health workshops for farmers, cover crop workshops, field trips and demonstrations all over the region and into neighboring states even. We're working on trails at Prairie Creek Reservoir. We've obtained multi-year funding from IDEM to assess water quality and other watershed characteristics in the Mississippi watershed. That's an active thing we're doing right now. That assessment money will actually set us up to do implementation and apply for implementation funds over the next 2 or 3 years. Anyhow, knowing that we're successful, knowing that we do a lot for the county, one of the things that I've learned since that meeting is that we need help to do it. Those funds, most of them are dedicated to actually do the work. And so all the educational efforts that Candace Kent, our soil health director here, does, she's staffing the booths at the farm show. She's the only paid employee for this county office. So Living Lightly, the garden fair, the farm show, all of this partnering with NRCS Extension to put on these soil health workshops, writing and administering grants, etc. So I guess local soil and water conservation districts need funding for staffing from the local government to maintain a strong presence and support for landowners. So we need your help to keep doing so. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Well, and I appreciate it because with those grants, you've been able to match what we've given you, match it. And yes. I've not given up on trying to find you. I'd like 20, but if you'd be pleased with 10, 15, or whatever we could find.
We would.
So there's some additional expenses we're having this year. So we haven't forgot you, but I just can't promise at this time how much it'll be or if any. But I sure do appreciate it. And I really remember that one tour we took And I would like to really do a tour of the White River where it starts.
Yes.
And I think that'd be very interesting to, because I learned quite a bit. That was about 15 years ago, I think, you had that tour. But welcome here today, and Josh on the committee, I'm sure they're appreciating all your expertise too, serving. So thank you.
for listening.
Thank you.
Patty, have you been
Anybody
able to get a
else?
hold of anybody from the sheriff's department?
No.
You want to go ahead and
Didn't
table
have those
this?
I'd make a motion to table it until next meeting.
I'll second it.
Roll call.
Mr. Henry,
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Ms. Reagan,
Yes. Okay.
I make a motion to recess.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Henry,
Yes.
Ms. Reagan.
Yes, recess. Thank you for attending.